and I hope you enjoy our tips and tricks video on gaskets and mufflers.
Hi folks, Mustafa here from Rc Gadgetz, and today we're going to speak about gaskets and about the gasket maker. Right? So basically there are a couple of different schools of thought when it comes to how to fix the muffler to the engine. Okay, some people prefer just using the standard gasket on its own with the standard screws that come in, and some people have been fairly lucky with that. Okay? Some people prefer to use some type of gasket maker along with the gaskets, having that on both sides, like to sandwich the gasket, and some people have had success with that. What we prefer to do is to use only the gasket maker. Okay, now why do we avoid using just the standard gaskets that are provided? Although someone like Brian from DA, one of the foundations of the company, he swears by the gaskets. He only uses them on his engines and he doesn't have any problems, although we do regularly get complaints of mufflers coming loose. And we have found that the optimum solution for us was to use a gasket maker. The one that we're currently using is the Copper XS. This is a great product. It can stand up to over 700 Fahrenheit intermittently, and it's 600 continuous. That's about 316 degrees centigrade continuous temperature and up to 370 intermittent. Now, our engines usually will only ever run at about 120 to 150 if they're pretty hot degrees centigrade. So really this has got double the rating that we need, and we feel that it works very well for us. Okay, so then again, there is the way you screw on the muffler. Some people use spring washers and some people use Nord-Lock washers. Now Nord-Lock washers are actually very good. They work great. However, sometimes you have a problem of the size. In this case, you probably wouldn't have a problem using a Nord-Lock washer. In some cases where the screws actually go in through a tunnel, in from one side and screw out from the other side, then you might not find the right outside diameter of the Nord-Lock washer, and that would be a problem. So basically, why we generally lean towards only using a gasket maker is because this material in the end does compress. So initially when you fix this on the muffler, you're going to find that it's nice and snug and it's good, but with heat and vibration, even though it's already like 1 millimeter, like 1/16 in thickness, it's still going to compress a little bit. And when that compression happens, then there's going to be a little bit of play between the muffler and the cylinder, and that's where the actual wriggling starts to happen and the screws start to come loose. So when you don't use a gasket and you're actually only using a gasket maker, now that once it's compressed into its final position, it cannot compress anymore, and that's why you tend to have I think overall a much more stable installation of a muffler to the engine, and the likelihood of those screws coming loose is significantly decreased. Okay, so I'm going to be demonstrating in a little while how we're going to fix our this is actually not a DA, it's a muffler for a 3W275 on one of our 50% bill ample extras, and we're going to demonstrate how we apply the gasket maker and how we fix it on. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're just going to clean the surface of the area that we're going to start applying our gasket maker. So just some rubbing alcohol is fine. I just use a high percentage alcohol, and that makes sure there's no grease. Actually, in some cases they actually can tell you to apply a little bit of oil here if you plan on removing and fixing the muffler several times, and that way you can actually reuse the gasket that you made. But in our case, obviously, we want it to be solid, and if we need to remove the mufflers, we can just make a new gasket. It's that easy. Okay, so after cleaning, we're going to apply a little bit of the gasket maker. I'm going to make sure that it's in all the areas of the actual Now you don't need to apply too much of this stuff, because in reality you really just need a very thin layer. So a lot of what I'm applying now is actually going to be removed in the end. So, but it's okay. We just want to make sure that all the areas have the actual material on it. Okay. Of course, you could use the tip. That'll make it a little easier. I just go like this. Okay, so once it's on there, we don't want all this thickness. You can see it's a pretty thick layer there in some cases. So we're going to use our finger. We're going to pat this stuff down. Okay, make sure that it's very well on all the surface. It's been put down nicely on the full surface. If there's too much, we don't really need it. I'm going to leave that stuff that's around the screw hole, because in the end I'm actually going to use some of it on the screw. So any excess I'm actually going to be removing, because I don't want that. It's just going to squeeze out, but I prefer to know exactly how much I have there. Okay. So we've actually removed a significant amount, and we're going to wipe that away with all right, so this is actually all set to be fixed, and we know that the layer is nice and it's covered the whole surface. Now, do you have any Q-tips?
Barbecue stick.
And then, I mean, if you have some extra outside here, you can always just clean them up with any stick. It's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna influence anything, so it's fine. Okay, so that's one side done. Now we start working on the other side. All right, Ed, you ready to do the other side? All right, let's do this. Okay, so what we're basically using is we're using the standard washer, a spring washer, and then the bolt. Okay, and this is actually what was provided in this sequence by the manufacturer. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide that in. Now this is something that I like to do, and this is obviously a personal preference, but I'm just showing you what I do. Is I just put a little bit of this material on the screw and rotate the screw a little bit. And just use a stick to kind of smear that stuff over the screw. Okay, and this can actually be also put in the cylinder hole where the screw is going to go in. Now it does honestly make a difference on how well that screw stays put. And this is basically how we do it here. Put a little bit more here because I want to make sure that it's in those threads. Rotate that around. Okay, so basically this whole job has taken us about a minute or two, and it's ready to be bolted on. Ed, if you can do the honors, please. So basically now, since we initially started applying this product, we'll say we have like 5 to 8 minutes have passed. So we're not going to tighten the mufflers right now. What we're going to do is we're just going to tighten them, just a very light tightening. Yeah, we're not going to squeeze all the way, and we're going to give it an hour to set, at least 30 to 40 minutes to set, and then after that we're going to go with the final tightening. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed our video on gaskets and mufflers. This is how we do it. It's not the best way. It's a way from many different ways that people prefer, but we've had great success with it. If you have any questions, just shoot us Shoot us the questions and we'll try to answer them the best we can. Signing out from Rc Gadgetz. Bye-bye.